are here today to talk about the topic codependency and basically about relationships. So I think most of our life, or literally all of our life, we are spending it in relationship with someone. So there are so many different types of relationships: the parent and child, the husband and wife, partners, friends, neighbors. We're literally all the time in relationship with somebody. Now, what happens when these relationships are codependent? They sap us of our energy and they become unhealthy for us. Let's try to understand or identify which are those relationships in our life where we are codependent. This is like a checklist which we can just use to see if our relationship is codependent and which are those relationships, identifying them. So first of all, when you are in a codependent relationship, you have to agree on everything. So the two people that are in the relationship have to say yes or no to the same thing. And if you don't agree, that means this relationship is at stake. We start worrying about this other person more than we worry about ourselves. So this is something which causes that, the mind constantly thinking of what is that person doing, where are they going, I hope they're safe. So we are constantly worried about them. The dreams and the goals of both the people in this relationship have to be the same. If they are not the same, we get threatened that the relationship may change. So are we holding the other person from realizing their dreams and goals, or are we holding ourselves from realizing our dreams and goals so that we do not have a tiff in the relationship? We feel pressurized to say yes. How many times in these kind of relationships have we said yes and then you don't want to say yes, and so there is a conflict within you, but your saying no is going to cause a problem in the relationship. How I feel depends on how the other person feels. So I'm constantly making sure that this person is feeling okay by asking, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Are you okay? Are you okay? And generally we do this with children. I've noticed myself doing this with my children, and we want them to be okay all the time so that we can be okay. We are not able to handle that not okayness in ourselves. So because when the other person is not happy, we fall apart. Our happiness is dependent on this other person's happiness. And also, you might have noticed this again with children. You want them to need you. If they don't need you, you think they don't love you. So this is a codependent relationship, that when somebody doesn't need us, that means they don't love us anymore, or the relationship is not strong enough. If for some reason there is a separation from this person, do we feel unloved? Do we feel insecure? Do we feel lonely? These are some questions that we need to ask ourselves to see if we are in a relationship where there is codependency. Now, what is happening when there is codependency is we are not being who we truly are. We are being what the other person wants us to be, because we do not want this relationship to suffer. So codependent relationships are extremely unhealthy for us. They are toxic to us only because we are not being who we truly are. Then what is that relationship that helps us be who we truly are? That is the interdependence relationship. So when you are, even Stephen Covey in his books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, has those stages which we move through as we grow through life and evolve. Starting from dependence, we move to independence and then to interdependence. So we cannot get to a relationship which is interdependent without being individually independent. So once you are individually independent, you can get into an interdependent relationship. You can do this for yourself by self-growth and making yourself independent and finding out who you truly are and releasing this other person to do the same. Then you have an interdependent relationship. So let's see what an interdependent relationship really looks like. Sounds very exciting, but let's see where do we have these interdependent relationships, and if we don't, can we cultivate it, and can we look into the codependent relationships and see where transformation can be brought. So in an interdependent relationship, our thoughts are separate from the others. We don't have to think same things, and we can agree to disagree. There is no problem. Nobody is threatened. If I, for some reason, depend on this person, I don't lose myself and say I can't be who I am without that person. It's just an interdependence means I depend on them one time, they depend on me sometime when they need it. But we also are independent on our own. While I am loving this other person, I can also love myself, which means I'm shining my light nice and bright while I'm allowing you to shine your light right, nice and bright, and we both love each other while we love ourselves. Mutual respect for the dreams and goals that the other person has. I think this is so important. Like in a family, if you take each of the partners have their own dreams and goals, the children have their own dreams and goals, and how nice and interdependent the relationship would be if you could see how important those dreams and goals are for the other person and help them and usher them reach those dreams and goals. And this is not just for one person. This is another thing which was mentioned in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the win-win situation. It's not the lose-win or the win-lose that makes it a good relationship. It's the win-win situation where everybody's dreams and goals have been taken care of. We are free to express who we are, and we are free to feel what we feel. Nobody is questioning us when we are sad. This is very important, I think, with a parent-child relationship, because when you see that, we want our children to be happy all the time. So they are in this pressure that they really don't allow themselves to feel sad. And when these children grow up, they just cannot sit with sadness. And that's why they move to something every time they feel sadness. But we all know that life is a bag of emotions. You can't just have one emotion dominating all the time. That in this interdependent relationship, it's okay to say no. It's okay to build your boundaries, because the other person is not taking it personally when you're saying no. There is no blame on the other when we are not feeling okay. So this is a high level of consciousness, right? To not blame another. You did this, so I'm feeling like this. We are able to listen to the other's needs without feeling threatened. In an interdependent relationship, we are safe. We are not threatened at all. That's the way they are feeling, and we are allowing them to express their needs. Maybe we can keep it in mind when we are interacting the next time. We can enjoy alone time. Like, we don't feel guilty because we are enjoying alone time, and we can encourage the others to do the same. I think this is again in every relationship. When you are so enmeshed and you're caught up with each other, there is no space for growth. So in an interdependent relationship, then both go their way and do their things, and then they come together, then there's so much to share, and there's growth happening individually and together, and that is an interdependent relationship. We also respect the parts that make us different. I think that's very crucial, because in a codependent, we want the other to be like us. But here, it's okay to be different. And not only it's okay, we also respect that difference. And that makes it interdependent. We trust the other person, and we're not going to pry. That means we're not going to dig in and question and be so nosy into their personal life. So this is an interdependent relationship. So I mean, who doesn't want such a relationship? But it takes a lot of work. So the point here to note is, how can we grow in our consciousness and allow the other person to grow in their consciousness while we both grow together and in a collective consciousness as well. So Interdependent relationships are extremely healthy, and just being aware and throwing that light of awareness, oh, okay, I think this is where I'm going, because many times we don't even think, we're just being that, especially mothers, since, when we give birth to this child, we think we are them, like we are one whole. The differentiation has to happen at some point, and we become two different individuals. So enmeshment will result in codependency, and differentiation results in interdependence. The more interdependent relationships we have, the more liberated we feel.